What's up out there, everybody? Welcome to Movies Never Say Die and to another episode of the VHS Vault. Tonight we're cracking open another fresh stack of rentals, the kind that you used to put into the order of a watch list on the car ride home. I personally think this lineup is pure Friday night energy. We start by getting cozy, then we get silly. We're going to take a few glossy detours into danger and then ride out with some Western swagger. Think about the warm glow of an old tube TV, the sound of a tape winding up in the VCR, and that unwritten rule that whoever returned the tapes the next day got to pick the first movie. So secure your snacks, get comfy, and let's take a trip back to the video store. In Doc Hollywood from 1991, Michael J. Fox and Julie Warner turn a chance meeting into a small-town cure for big city ambitions, where it turns out the fastest route to happiness might be a detour with decent coffee and neighbors that know your name. Now, this was a fixture on the new releases wall that somehow felt like it was a comfort pick. The pop culture imprint isn't necessarily loud as much as it is cozy, with the early 90s faith and small town atmosphere, the soft flannel vibe, and the idea that success can look like a Saturday morning pancake breakfast. On VHS, it played like background sunshine, something that you would throw on while friends debated over pizza toppings, dished on who was dating who, and argued over which tape to watch next. Now, what I love about it is how it just refuses to be slick. It lets the scenes breathe. It gives the characters room to become people that you could actually imagine bumping into at the pharmacy, and it treats little detours like little secret doors. So really, it's a movie that I think feels very lived in. It's the kind of rental that turned weekends into little resets by rewinding life a little bit, maneuvering a slower track, and remembering that ambition doesn't always have to shout at you in the face.
I'm just on my way to Beverly Hills. Plastic surgery. Not that you need any.
And this era of cinema adored these city mouse meets country mouse plot lines, and few did it with as much charm and charisma as Michael J. Fox and Julia Warner in this movie. I mean, every watch of Doc Hollywood feels like a postcard from an analog decade, and it's just a gentle rom-com with a very generous heart, the exact tape you just would keep for an extra day and hope the store clerk didn't notice, because returning it felt like you were leaving a small town. Now, from small town heartbeats, we're going to jump into big what-if swings in this next movie that aims to see if one pitch could have changed a person's life. In 1990's Mr. Destiny, Jim Belushi, Michael Caine, and Linda Hamilton attempt to ride a one-swing what-if redo that rewrites a life and delivers a truly one-of-a-kind baseball movie that captures a timeless sense of wonder. Now, if you ever rented this one near opening day, you were not alone. Sports fans like myself and Belushi fans like myself practically wore this tape thin. I think it fit perfectly beside the era's wish fulfillment comedy section, but smuggled in that grown-up idea that an alternate life can come with alternate problems. On the shelf when it was released, it sat nicely between baseball fantasies and workplace fables by borrowing a little bit of magic from both, and the pop culture imprint here is pretty sly. It isn't quoting locker room posters as much as it is interrogating them, and on tape it really did become ritual cinema. Watch, dream, then go take a few swings out on the playground. That's the nostalgia charge for me, at least. A movie about tallying imaginary RBIs, all the while talking yourself into the best version of yourself that you can be.
Hitting that baseball has spun your life off in an entirely new direction.
And of course, rewatching now, the jokes feel warmer, the fine print reads much clearer, bigger doesn't always equal better, and the scoreboard isn't the only measure that matters in life. And in the rental ecology, this was that movie that would keep getting recommended by that cool clerk that you knew had some taste. It's a movie that's safe for family night, but honest enough to sting the emotions a little bit, and I think it's a durable, feel-good movie that matures like a glove. It's broken in, more forgiving, and somehow more yours every time you pick it up. Now, if fate can flip your scorecard, imagine what a good disguise can do in this next movie. In Nuns on the Run from 1990, Eric Idle and Robbie Coltrane attempt to hide from their crime boss by ducking into a convent where disguises, choir practice, and comical chaos will collide. Bless me, Father, for I have giggled. This is the definition of a glorious video store accident. You go hunting for an action tape and you end up grabbing the "Is This Funny" cover just out of curiosity, and boom, you have an instant surprise classic in your living room on VHS. It became a word of mouth comment. Your friend's cousin swore by it, then you swore by it like you had stumbled onto it, and pretty soon it felt like a private club with a universal password. Pop culture wise, it rode that British invasion comedy wave, clever without bragging, a farce that respected timing more than volume, and I think the nostalgia toke in this one is everywhere. The grain of the tape, the muffled hi-fi stereo, and now it's a timestamp to the glorious days of adult comedies, movies that were ridiculous without being ridiculous.
Run a teacher training college for 18 to 22-year-old girls. You have experience.
Of 18-year-old girls, yes, plenty.
And I think what keeps this one fresh is just its absence of meanness. I mean, even the crooks feel human and likable. The convent isn't a punchline so much as it is a playground, and the script trusts that you're going to catch the second layer jokes, if not on a rewatch. And in the rental era, this was prime. Second choice becomes first favorite energy, the kind of tape you would bring over to a friend's house and pretend that you discovered it on purpose. And I just think it's a lovable stealth classic whose true punchline is really how well it has aged over time. Clean, nimble, and always 2 jokes ahead of you. Now, let's trade the nun outfits for neon onesies as we hit the slopes in this next rental gem. On the slopes of 1990 Ski Patrol, Roger Rose and TK Carter prank, carve, and rally to save their mountain from a cartoonish takeover. This is a movie that's 100% powder, pratfalls, and PG-rated absurdity that'll make you want to grab your gear and hit the slopes. You can smell the artificial snow in this movie. Okay, maybe that was the rental shop's carpet cleaner, but regardless, it lived on the comedy wall all winter like a neon trail marker in the pop culture landscape. It's ski town goofball cinema at cruising speed, PG rated with prank wars, VHS era soundtrack bops, and villainy with cartoon mustaches. I've personally always been fonder of Ski School, but the nostalgia here really does hit like an avalanche. The bright jackets, the cutaway gags, the sense that half the stunts were signed off by a guy named Sully holding a hot cocoa, and as a rental, it did exactly what you wanted on a Friday. It kicked open the weekend, got everyone laughing, and made you plan for a trip to the mountains that you more than likely would never take.
How you doing, ladies?
What I appreciate about it now is its handmade charm. It's Police Academy out on the ski slopes with set pieces that actually look performed and not composited, with jokes that trust the wide shot and a breezy rhythm that never pretends to be cooler than it actually is. It's pre-irony and proudly so. It's a movie that you would pop in to let the mountain air into the living room, and while it's certainly not the apex of slopes out in the subgenre, it is a reliable chairlift to some pretty fun, good vibes. It's an annual preseason ritual watch that reminds you fun doesn't have to be always high altitude, it just has to feel elevated. Now, from snowy mountains and fun-loving rejects, we're moving to neighborhood superheroes in this next movie. In The Meteor Man from 1993, Robert Townsend, backed by Marla Gibbs and Eddie Griffin, uses his freshly zapped superpowers to protect the block, one act of kindness at a time, in a superhero comedy about a neighborhood watch that just got a big upgrade from space. Back in the day, if you were scanning the new releases wall and you wanted some superhero vibes without all the grim dark, This box art would call to you like a porch light, and on the couch with friends, it would become participation cinema. You would cheer the tiny wins, roast the clunky bits, and pass the chips, and then repeat it all over again. Its pop culture imprint is bigger than most people remember. It was an early, earnest black superhero on a mainstream shelf, preaching community care years before it would become a marketing buzzword, and the nostalgia here is pretty much all tactile. It's late night channel surfing that accidentally turns into a full watch. It's sitting with that one friend who quotes the same line every time you guys watch it. It's the sound of the VCR rewinding before another sit down. It's that movie's secret weapon. It's really the sincerity and the humor of everything, and it's all led by the comically charming performance from Robert Townsend in the lead.
Meteor Man's in town!
It imagines superpowers as neighborhood tools, cleaning up the streets, protecting kids, rebuilding dignity. That sweetness isn't naive, it's intentional, and sure, not every gag here is a swish, but the team chemistry here keeps the score close, and even in the rental era, it would thrive as a hangout pick, and I still think it's an unsung cape flick whose heart aged better than most of the VX-filled reels that we see. Proof that sometimes the smallest heroics can leave the longest afterglow. Now, from the neighborhood and heroics, we're going to step into global basketball in this next rental gem. In the air up there from 1994, Kevin Bacon chases a generational basketball recruit out into rural Africa, and because this was 90s cinema, he learns that teamwork is the real winning play. You're going to come for the scouting trip, and you're going to stay for the heartwarming assists. Now, this one was one of those cable to VHS staples growing up, the kind that you'd tape off of TV with the commercials and all, and pretty much treated like a basketball training montage next to movies like Hoop Dreams and Blue Chips and Above the Rim. Or maybe that was just teenage me who had dreams of being a point guard in the NBA. Regardless, as for this movie's pop cultural footprint, I think it sits comfortably in the 90s sports journey lane, road miles, cultural bridges, and team first lessons. To me, the nostalgia here is half movie, half ritual. You watch it, then you go outside and shoot hoops until the streetlights said it was time to quit, and what keeps it charming now really is the collaborative spirit. It isn't here to crown a savior, it's here to show the give and take of a game that really does belong to everyone on the court. And on the rental wall, it was the trust me, you'll like it pick, a movie that would pacify the whole room, sports kids satisfied, comedy fans appeased, and most importantly, parents unbothered.
Winabi!
Winabi, yeah.
Hey, Salandundo Aliboma Zalkena Winabi.
The laughs are easy, the setbacks here are human-sized, and the payoff feels like a clean swish that you can hear more than see, and today it's still a very replayable booster shot for hoop dreams and humility, served best with a scuffed ball, a squeaky rim, and of course a side of bacon. Now, this next rental movie, we're heading into corporate America, where in the office, the real danger often wears a name badge. It's time to clock in with The Temp from 1993, starring Laura Flynn Boyle, Timothy Hutton, and Faye Dunaway, in a glossy office thriller where brewing ambition sharpens like a letter opener, so sharp that even HR can't figure out what to do with it. Now, second-run theaters and video store shelves were essentially made for this exact flavor of thriller, glossy, delightfully petty, and dangerously close to your real life.
I'm not selling secret, Charlotte.
Well, what are you doing, Peter? What's going on? You have been acting like an insane...
Someone in this company is trying to destroy me.
The pop culture context of this movie puts it in that 90s corporate menace mini boom, using ambition as a horror trope, espressos as prop weapons, and using glass offices as fish bowls for bad behavior. And on VHS, it was a perfect let's do one more pick, a tight runtime, a steady ratchet of the tension with a finale that lands before the snacks run out. The nostalgia of The Temp lives in the atmosphere to the era when copiers would jam, when 90s corporate ambition could get you killed, with a hush soundtrack insisting that nothing is wrong, and box art promising you'll never trust a new intern again. The restraint is what sells it. The stakes are small enough to feel real. Promotions become MacGuffins. Smiles turn into alibis, and it's a satisfyingly just tidy paranoia snacks that I think's aged into retro comfort. Now, from corporate mind games, we're turning into the mind itself and exploring how twisted of a maze one can be. In the twisty Raising Cain from 1992, John Lithgow and Lolita Davidovich navigate a De Palma funhouse of jealousy, murder, and fractured identity, with both learning that when the mirror starts talking back to you, it's already a wrap on your sanity. This was one of those Discovery Night classics. You'd grab it for the director's name or the ominous box art and end up staying to see Lithgow detonate every 5 minutes, only to end up discussing split screens like you were in film school. Now, as for its pop culture imprint, I think it's De Palma's maximalist stamp, operatic camera work, ornate suspense, and just unhinged performances, all filtered through early 90s thriller mania.
This thing you're doing means everything to the old man.
I won't hurt her.
She'll hurt you.
On tape, it played like an amusement park ride that you immediately wanted to queue up again, partly to understand what you'd just seen and partly to witness the audacity of it all once again. The nostalgia here, like many of these movies, does come with the rituals, pausing to argue theories, rewinding to catch a reveal, and what I admire now really is the craftsmanship underneath all the chaos, the way seemingly stray threads click together in a final act that is both pulpy and puzzling. All of which I think makes Raising Cain just deliciously artificial in the best ways, performance as design, style as narrative, and suspense as choreography. And to this day, it's a fireworks show for thriller devotees, a reminder that too much can sometimes be exactly enough. Now, after all the identity fireworks, we're going to lighten the mood with this next movie about a guy who forgets his identity every time he wakes up in the morning. In 1994's Clean Slate, Dana Carvey and Valeria Golino tackle a murder case that the lead detective seems to forget every morning, along with everything else. Every day is a new mystery, and a textbook Groundhog Day premise meets SNL skit comedy sketch that was a token of 90s cinema. Clean Slate was the rental favorite turned cable TV comfort. It's the rare mystery that kind of watches like a sitcom that you never wanted to see get canceled. The pop culture placement of this little comedy sits between noir parody and post SNL star vehicle, but the rewatch value is its real legacy. The amnesia gag resets the clock each morning, turning every clue into a scavenger hunt prize, every side character into a potential tour guide, and that simplicity is why this silly comedy gels. The nostalgia in this movie, I think, is just baked into the cadence, the light scoring that emphasizes the levity, the dog getting a bigger laugh than some humans, that late night decision to just finish it even though you had to be at work or school in like 5 hours. There will always be a place for feel-good comedies, and with Dana Carvey behind the wheels, Clean Slate certainly defines itself as one.
Don't move. All right, zip up.
On the video rental shelf, it was a peace treaty, light enough for the comedy crowd, plotty enough for the mystery hounds, and today the analog charm glows. It has plenty of practical bits, endless amusing props, and jokes that snap effectively without elbowing your ribs, and even all these years later, it's a casual good time. It's the cinematic equivalent of finding a $5 bill in that old jacket. Now, to close out this episode, let's hit the Old West for this next rental gem, and let's saddle up with a posse that writes their own rules. In the 1994 Western Bad Girls, Madeline Stowe, Mary Stuart Masterson, Andie MacDowell, and Drew Barrymore play prostitutes who saddle up to rewrite the frontier on their own terms. The posse has arrived, they're armed, and they will have the last word. On the rental wall, this was the poster that you noticed, even if you pretended that you didn't. Dust, dynamite, and a posse that meant business, its pop culture imprint. Call it the 90s push to remix classic genres with new leads, female counter-programming to the boys-only bunkhouse that many of the guys still enjoyed as well.
You touch her again, you're a dead man.
On VHS, it became sleepover currency, rewatchable showdowns, costume party inspirations, peak sexual charge, and just enough swagger to make you practice that over-the-shoulder glare in the mirror when no one was around. The nostalgia here really lies in its atmosphere again, tape grain over sunset skies, the click of the VCR as the score swells, and the slow motion shots of peak 90s melodrama. Rewatching it now, I love how straight it plays the myth. There's no footnotes, no apologies, just all velocity and attitude. And does every beat kill? Not at all, but the moxie is the point, and I think the moxie lands. I think in the ecosystem of weekend rentals, this was certainly a strong closer, a go big or go home final pick that often sent everyone out the door with a smile on their face, talking about what they just watched. Today, I still think it's a stylish, hard-hitting ride. It keeps the hats on the heroes' heads. It keeps the horizon open. It's the exact kind of outlaw energy that we rented movies to engage with in the first place. And that's the stack for today, guys. All rewound and ready to drop in the return slot, or maybe keep one an extra day and risk the late fee. We went from pancake breakfast heartwarmers to wild card capers, from powder day pranks to neighborhood heroics, from second run office paranoia to full tilt De Palma. Then we coasted through a comfort noir and closed it out with boots, dust, and attitude. If that didn't feel like a perfect Friday night shelf, I don't know what does. Now it's your guys' turn. Tell me your pick of the night in the comments. Share your favorite rental store memories, your favorite clerk recommendations, cover art that tricked you into renting the movie, the tapes that you guys rented routinely and wore thin, and of course, if you had fun, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the notification bell so episode 3 pops up right when you're hunting for your next weekend watch, because we've got plenty more cozy detours, cult corner surprises, and a few gloriously questionable choices on deck, because that's what made the video store ritual so legendary. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope you guys have been enjoying all these series based on the rental store eras from the 80s and 90s. I appreciate all of you guys watching. I'll see you guys all in the next video coming real soon. And until then, movies never say die.
Jack Burton and the Pork Chop Express, and I'm talking to whoever's listening out there.
Survive a war. You gotta become war.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
You trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?